Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with the main man, Charlie, aka Academy avfc, for a bit of a special FA Youth Cup finalist special for the under 18s, getting into triumphing over Manchester United on penalties. And Charlie got in touch with me last night and said, we've got to jump on and do a show to talk about, to bask in the glory of Aston Villa securing another spot in the FA Youth Cup final. So here he is. Charlie, how are you doing, mate? Great result last night, or Monday night, shall we say, in the FA Youth Cup.
Yeah, awesome night to be at Villa Park. I'm doing really well. Came away from Villa Park buzzing, really. Just really nice for the players to show such a resilient performance, and we'll talk about it more in a couple of moments. But yeah, really thrilling match, and yeah, good to see them get the right result at the end.
Yeah, fantastic, and it had kind of everything, all elements of a performance. You know, organisation, threat on the counter attack, some good running with the ball, some last ditch tackling, and then obviously the dramatic scenes of a penalty shootout. And we will talk about the heroes of the penalty shootout. Obviously, it's goalkeepers in general heroes, but yeah, I mean, we talked, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were kind of previewing these games that Villa had these big games to come, and you mentioned about Manchester United being, you know, one of the best young sides in the country, players that have represented their first teams, and they would bring a fairly big following as well, and that kind of proved to be the case. They were a good side, but you also said that Villa had some players to hurt them as well, and that was kind of the way it panned out as well.
Yeah, I think looking at the team news, when I said that, I was thinking more about the directness of Brad Burrows, and that was a big miss for Villa last night. I think potentially with Brad Burrows in that side, we can maybe see Villa be a bit more influential in terms of trying to dictate in attack. But I thought actually his replacement, Trayvon Mully, was excellent. He was the one dragging the team forward. Obviously scored the goal in the opening minutes. And yeah, I thought the biggest headline actually was how our two centre backs handled Chido Obi, arguably the biggest striker prospect in the country, and he came away without a goal. And our centre backs performed magnificently to impact that.
Yeah, I mean, he cut a bit of a frustrating figure, didn't he, towards the end of the 90 minutes and also in extra time. I know he missed a couple of pretty good chances, but they kept him fairly quiet. And like I say, he was quite frustrated towards the end.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by United's unwillingness to sort of go direct into him. Because I would have thought, like having watched him in the cameos that he has had in senior football, he's caused problems for players like Calvin Bassey, and that's a difficult thing to do for someone of experience in the Premier League, let alone someone coming in making their first senior appearances. So yeah, I was a bit surprised by the type of service that he got. I think they struggled to give him the service that that maybe would have allowed him to impact the game more. And then, as you say, I think that frustration started to creep into the game. I think there was a bit of sort of selfishness creeping into the play, where you feel frustrated that you haven't got your goal and you start to try and do things yourself. And then, yeah, I think our two centre-backs handled that situation perfectly. I think I saw some comments from, obviously, some bitter United fans after the game talking about some of the antics of our players throughout the game. And I think, actually, what that showed to me is a bit more of a an attitude to win at all costs, which you sometimes don't often see in academy football. I think we've spoken before about how the FA Youth Cup is seen as the premier competition at this level, where you see a bit more sort of play to win attitude. But I think actually one of the biggest positives for me last night is I came away thinking this side is one really together, but showed a huge amount of character, showed a huge amount of quality that is applicable in men's football in terms of finding out a result, knowing how to get a result out of a game where perhaps you're not the most fancied or you're not able to dictate the game and utilise your attacking players as much as you want to. And so, yeah, I thought really impressive performance, and I came away really impressed, particularly with the back four. Tristan Rowe, TJ Carroll, Leon Ruth, Rodrigo Fortes was the left back who started, and then Teddy Bloomfield after he got replaced. I thought they all performed.
They were brilliant. Yeah, they were brilliant. And look, right, make no mistake, Manchester United weren't any sort of angels in that game. They were putting in some dirty challenges, nasty challenges, and kind of doing a few of the dark arts, shall we say. So look, and if they'd have been 2-1 up, if they'd have got a goal to go 2-1 up, that you could bet your bottom dollar that their goalkeeper would have been going down, their players would have been wasting time. So it is what it is. You can't complain about it after the game. It just makes it sound even worse, even more like sour grapes. So keep going, I would say. You're just making yourself sound even more bitter.
I think I think the way that I viewed it, it was kind of a brilliant example of cup football.
Exactly.
At times you're going to have to forfeit the way you want to play in a match and accept that you're going to have to suffer a little bit. And I thought Villa actually managed that game really well, accepted when they were going to have to suffered, had to be bailed out a couple of times by the keeper. But I thought actually limited United to not a huge deal of gilt-edged chances. There weren't a huge amount of times where I felt this is the chance where United are going to score. And for everything that we've said about Villa's defensive quality, when Villa went forward, there were multiple opportunities for Villa to score. And I thought actually probably both sides will have felt that they could have won that game in the 90 minutes and then in extra time as well.
100%. I was just about to say that. I mean, after the kind of first half where both teams scored, it was almost like almost like tight play and both teams get into the box to each other's boxes and then kind of a last-ditch tackle or a block. But then it was sprinkled with just gilt-edged chances. I mean, Mason Kocher had one. I don't know how the goalkeeper saved that reaction save. Jimo Aloba had one where he cut inside and he kind of hit it straight at the goalkeeper. But again, he was close in. Great save from the goalkeeper. And then Manchester United had a couple of efforts as well. The one where it deflected and the keeper made a brilliant save. And I think Villa had a couple in extra time as well that, probably should have scored at least one of them. Was it Williams or something?
Max Jenner.
Oh, how he missed that, I do not know. That was, I mean, he'll be buzzing now, but he would have been absolutely, I don't know, he wouldn't have slept at night had we gone out after that chance. And but yeah, like you say.
Yeah, on top of that, we had the penalty in normal time as well.
Absolutely, penalty. And I know Man United hit the post as well. But yeah, it was kind of like both teams cancelled each other out and kind of got last-ditch blocks, last-ditch tackles. But then there was, I've just reeled off there, 3-4 clear-cut chances with Villa and equally 3 or 4 clear-cut chances for Manchester United. So it wasn't as if, according to YouTube commentators, Villa might as well have just not bothered turning up. It was just all Man United, and they had some amazing players, and Villa are just making up the numbers. But it wasn't like that in terms of chances.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that kind of plays into what I was saying just there about the maturity of that Villa performance. I was really impressed with Tristan Rowe's match. Actually, I thought he defended really maturely and then provided that extra spark in sort of propelling Villa forward with a couple of bursts through the midfield to create those chances. You mentioned the Jimo Aloba chance where he cut in, and that came from a Tristan Rowe burst through the middle. I thought he was excellent last night, probably my player of the match yesterday evening. And then, like you say, I thought the game was a really good reflection of academy football. I think what you see in academy football sometimes is teams that give away chances pretty easily,
Yeah.
and I thought that's probably what we saw. I think Villa didn't show their best in the first half. There were a couple of nervy moments where, probably the best example is the goal where Borland's eager to make a clearance, flicks on, and then they struggle to deal with the cross. And there was another moment where Leon Ruth had a bit of a shaky pass back, and there was some pressure applied following that. So I think Villa certainly grew into the game and grew into that maturity. And then just like I said a couple of times now, the character and togetherness of this group never ceases to amaze me. We've seen it in other cup competitions this season in which Villa have had these types of moments. You really do see the togetherness of this group and how committed they are in pushing each other over the line. Even throughout this FA Youth Cup journey, there's been different sides in different rounds. I'm thinking back to the I think it was the fourth round win over Newcastle. That was a very young side that took to the pitch there, and it's about winning games in different ways. And I think the thing that I actually really adore about this team is it's not necessarily overly reliant on individual quality to sort of bail out games. It tends to be a very team orientated performance that propels them onto these wins. Granted, we have seen sort of Brad Burrows take the limelight, or maybe Mason Kocher with his hat trick earlier in the round. But even that hat trick, I think, from Mason Kocher was one that relied on chances being created from a number of other players. And I just think credit to Jimmy Shan, because Jimmy Shan's appointment as under 18. I don't know what the official title is off the top of my head, but under 18 manager, I think has really improved this group and propelled them onto things like we've seen last night.
Yeah, fantastic. So you mentioned the back four really impressed you. Who else in terms of standout performances from your opinion?
I really enjoyed George Hemming's performance. I think he's got all the traits to be whatever he wants to be in midfield. He's got the defensive quality and the physical quality to be a six when he needs to be, combined with the attacking qualities and poise on the ball to impact games further forward on the pitch. It was he who won the free kick from which we scored in the first couple of minutes, and that was earned through a really tight dribble through bodies, and that was really impressive. So George Hemmings is one that I always look out for in these games. He's one of my favourite players from this team. So really impressed with his performance last night. I had to go off with cramp, which says a lot about all the running that he had to do. Aidan Borland, I think, was able to put that penalty miss to one side and really crack on and show the sort of drive and energy and leadership qualities that I think have earned him that exposure to first team training really recently. And to be honest, I'd be amiss not to mention every single name that started that game, because I thought we mentioned Trayvon Mully earlier. He was absolutely excellent. Jamal Oloba, we've gone all this way without mentioning his performance. I thought he was brilliant in providing that that transition between midfield and attack, coming short to receive at times, riding a couple of challenges and dragging Villa forward, but then also providing that little bit extra in the final third at times. I really love that the dribble and delay to give us that chance that the United keeper saved. I think that's probably the best chance that we had to win the game in normal time. So really impressive. And then I thought Mason Kocher did a really selfless job last night. I thought he didn't get much service, he didn't get much time on the ball, but his off-ball stuff really impressed me last night. Constantly pressing.
Went out to the left, didn't he, in the second half? And Jim
and
went up front, and he actually got more of the ball then.
Yeah, and I think during that spell he actually looked pretty lively. There were a couple of times where he and Jimo Aloba linked up. I think there was one with a quick throw in where Kocher gets down the left, and again that led to a dangerous moment for Villa. So yeah, I think everyone who got on that pitch last night can be really proud of their performance. We've not mentioned a couple of substitutes that came on. I thought Teddy Bloomfield did the job required of him. I think the winger that came on for United, Bendito Mantato, he's one that gets a lot of talk on social media, and I think well not to concede much actually after his introduction. Keelan Quinn, there was a brilliant passage of play in extra time where he plays a lovely long range pass with the outside of his boot to find Jimo Aloba, who then returns it to him, and had one of the chances we've talked about in extra time where we could have won it. And then Max Jenner, for a guy who's a first year scholar, one of the younger members of this group, for him to come in, have to settle down into midfield after Hemmings couldn't continue. I thought again just displayed all the qualities and all the reasons why. Firstly, he was signed from West Brom, but secondly, why this side is able to do what it can with players like that sitting on the sidelines.
You forgot one name,
Sam Proctor. I don't think I need to say his name after what happened initially. Yeah, what can you say about Sam Proctor? I think actually, just what a performance. There were a couple of saves and a couple of moments where I felt like this was the moment where United are going to have that bit of luck that we kind of always associate with Man United, maybe in first team football. And there was a deflected shot where I think he's about to get wrong-footed and then makes the last-ditch save. There was a shot from Chido Obi from 6 or 8 yards, something like that, which he managed to sort of slap away.
Yeah.
And then once it gets to the penalty shootout, I'm always confident with these players, the amount of time. And Jimmy Shan spoke about it in the interview at full time, that they've worked on penalties quite a lot throughout this campaign in the FA Youth Cup. So yeah, knowing all the talent Sam Proctor possesses, always confident that he's able to impact those situations.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And a little bit of kidology from one of the Manchester United players, or attempted kidology, where he tried to wink at him and then he just does the worst penalty possible, and just Proctor just drops on it. Yeah, puts his hat on it.
Yeah, really, he tends to be a man for the occasion, Sam Proctor. Again, yeah. Jimmy.
Well, he's got the best goalkeeper in the world for occasions to learn from. So, and he certainly does him no harm.
Yeah, he's been around that group as well. So perhaps there is an element of that being sort of transmitting into his game.
Well, even if you just watch it on the TV, like you see an Emi Martinez doing it in World Cup finals and Europa Conference League quarterfinals, and you're bound to pick it up. So. Yeah, it's all the more strength to him.
And a really positive thing to have in your locker, isn't it? Really, if you can have a keeper who comes up clutch in those moments, that's always going to be something that is appreciated within football, and will get you far.
Exactly. Well, there they are, the young Lions celebrating, and they're going into the final. Is it at Villa Park again?
Yeah, final will be at Villa Park. Date is to be confirmed. I saw a couple of tweets last night talking about how the sort of provisional date clashes with the Villa home match in the Prem. So, that date won't be an issue. They'll sort of schedule it around that. And yeah, it'll be at Villa Park. The second semi-final is between Watford and Man City. Man City will be huge favourites in that game. Their academy is on another level to most in the country. That takes place next week, and so I'll put out all the details once they become available. It'd be great to get an even bigger audience than what was there at Villa Park last night, and really get behind these boys and sort of repay the character and dedication that they showed last night to help push them on to even more history.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to them, and hopefully they can go one one more game, one more step, and secure that FA Youth Cup again. And it's a special moment for them in their careers. And yeah, it amazes me how many players come through and how many players have been part of this academy FA Youth Cup squad. Over these last few games, there's always a new name that seems to appear, and they seem to just hit the ground running, which is testament to the academy and the quality of the players and the quality of the coaching. So brilliant stuff. Just to finish up, under 21s were playing tonight, i.e. Tuesday night, against Burton Albion. Not quite as successful in terms of the game tonight. They did unfortunately fall 1-0 defeat at the semi-final stage of the Birmingham Senior Cup.
Yeah, it was a quarter-final just to
quarter-final. Sorry.
No, don't worry. But yeah, a bit of an experimental side. We saw Courtney House come in for his first action, which I thought was a lovely.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Back on a football pitch after everything he's been through was great. And then, I think it was always going to be a bit of a disjointed sort of performance, really, after everything that occurred last night. All the players that would have been involved in this squad who weren't. So, I think the performance kind of reflected the personnel changes. I thought there were a couple of nice performances in there. I enjoyed Ilani Edwards actually filling in as a number 9. I thought he displayed some good attacking sort of fluency. Omar Kedda was, I thought, Villa's likeliest source of a goal in that game. He had a strike from 25 yards, which hits the post, and then each time he got the ball was sort of committing his defender and looked the likeliest to create anything. And then, nice to see Kerr Smith back in a Villa shirt, back from injury. And then also Rory Wilson, who we talked about several times.
We have.
And it appears that his contract dispute has been resolved, and also his injury is now recovered. He's back in training and back in a Villa shirt on that pitch tonight. So, nice to see those two Scots involved, and a third in Ewan Simpson, who has gone a bit of time without a Villa appearance. So again, nice to see him back in a Villa top, and hopefully we'll see that a few more times between now and the end of the season.
Brilliant. And has he had a bit of an injury, has he? Or
I don't actually know too much about Ewan Simpson. I've not heard anything about an injury, but with the amount of time that he's been away from action, I would assume there has been an injury, but I can't say anything concrete. I've not heard anything on that front.
No problem. And then it'd be remiss of us to not talk about upcoming games for the under 18s, under 21s. Obviously, under 18s got an opportunity or chance to win the league that they're in. So what's the scoop with them? How many games have they got coming up? What's the next fixtures?
So the under 18s are next in action on Saturday. They'll be playing against, let me just confirm, they'll be playing against Fulham, which is the second time they're facing Fulham in about a month. I think we mentioned it briefly on the last episode. Quite a huge amount of fixture congestion between the 5th of April and the 10th of May. Villa under 18s will still have to play 3, 6, 9 games. So that's 9 games in just over a month.
Wow.
So there is an opportunity there for them to take the Premier League under 18 South title. Currently, the situation is that Southampton are top on 36 points. Villa currently in 5th with the least games played in the division, which is 15. So 5 games in hand on the current leaders and 8 points behind the current leaders. So we're talking about 3 wins from those 5 games in hand would get them back to the top of the table.
Well, all the best to them. We'll be back with a full roundup, a full loan roundup very soon, Charlie. But thank you very much. We thought we had to jump on to talk about the FA Youth Cup finalists after such a pulsating game yesterday, and such a big win for them. Beating Manchester United at any level is still really, really big, and particularly the youth team, because I think United carry a big reputation as a youth side. But Aston Villa, we've made some big signings, some canny signings of top young talent across the country. So you know, this could be a real sign of things to come. So it must be exciting for you as well, mate.
Yeah, I love covering these games. I was there with my mate last night, and I was kind of saying that I hate these moments where it gets to these moments in games where a mistake or one moment, one action is going to decide a match, because I think that's the moment where I get stressed and don't want these players to go through that bad experience. But if that is to happen, obviously we've got a final coming up and a league title to go for. If that is to happen, that's part of development, isn't it? So yeah, love covering these games. Love seeing the academy play at Villa Park. They're not doing that as much as they used to these days. So TJ Carroll, for example, that was his second appearance at Villa Park after the quarter-final. Cole Brannigan the same. So yeah, nice to get these players that exposure, and nice for the players to play in front of the crowd that was there last night. Obviously, vocal United support, which was documented quite widely on social media. But then as that game got tighter and tighter, the Villa fans really did pick up their volume, and as we moved into the penalty shootout and how it transpired, there were some brilliant celebrations and some really good memories made for those players.
Fantastic. Right, where can people find you if they've been living under a rock for the last however many years, mate?
As always, on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, it will be at Academy avfc.
Fantastic. Well, like I say, we'll be back in a few weeks' time to hopefully talk about Aston Villa winning the FA Youth Cup, as well as marching on to the under-18s Premier League title. And yeah, you never know, the first team could take some inspiration and win that FA Cup as well. It could be a Youth Cup and FA Cup double this season for Aston Villa, so that would be absolutely amazing. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us on the road to 6,000 subscribers. Charlie, once again, thank you so much, mate. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.